The Circus, presented by Concept 2. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Adrian Conway, and other than the weather delay, which I guess we kind of expected, more or less the CrossFit competition on the men's side has gone as expected.
It has gone as expected. I mean, we've got some athletes that are banking points the way that we assume they would. Jeff Adler, Ricky Garrard, but then we've got Chandler Smith right there. He didn't do anything polarizing like win an event, but he has set himself up to be tied for the top spot as we enter here into event 3.
And it is tight atop the overall standings for the men. 3 men tied with 165 points, Adler, Garrard, and Smith. As right now, Adler and Garrard are tied as they each have an event win. Chandler Smith in 3rd place. Only 50 points separate 10th place Bjorgvin Carl Gudmundsson from Jeff Adler and Ricky Garrard and Chandler Smith. Event number 3 is the Circus. We got a brand new implement out there.
We got a brand new implement, and that is not the only thing, and we get to revisit an oldie but goodie from the CrossFit Games back in 2011, the Killer Cage. But these athletes for event 3 are going to go through 40 calories on that ski erg. They are also going to then use the Circus dumbbell to execute 5 shoulder overhead. They could do that in any way, 5 on the right, 5 on the left, and then they've got to do the Killer Cage down and back.
Here are your lane assignments for the first of 2 heats for the men, and Ricky Garrard will be out there in heat number 1. He'll be in lane 8, looking to rack up another win here at the Rogue Invitational. Once again, tied in points with Chandler Smith and Jeff Adler at 165 points. We mentioned that dumbbell. That is a new implement for these athletes, and for more on that, here's Kiki Dixon.
Guys, these Circus dumbbells are modeled after the Sear dumbbell. 2 of the biggest differences, it's all stainless steel and it has a much bigger handle. Practice makes progress with these things. I was chatting with Victor Hoffer, and he said he's been working with the thicker dumbbell handle, and at first he had to do singles, and now he can cycle through them. So we might want to keep our eye on Victor Hoffer.
Thank you, Kiki. We are underway. Athletes getting to work on that first round of 40 calories on the ski erg. And there have been some changes to this event, the main one being that they do not need to go unbroken now on those lengths down and back on the Killer Cage. If they are off of the Killer Cage, they can jump right back up where they left off, as opposed to having to go back to the beginning and start over.
Yeah, which is an understandable pivot that you've got to make. One of the contingencies that had to be in place due to the weather. I mean, it's wet out there. It's still continually raining. It's not as obvious on camera, but it's certainly coming down out there, and the athletes have to be able to manage their grip through this whole entire event. So it's going to be a challenge even just working through the Killer Cage, let alone now not having to be unbroken.
Garrard on the right side in that black tank top. Going to stay towards the front here on this 40-calorie ski. There is Jason Hopper. He and Tudor Magda right now battling for the top spot on the first portion of this event. And Tudor Magda looking to score some points here. He's in 19th place overall. Jason Hopper in 15th place overall. He took a 6th in Texas Heavy on Thursday night, then finished 19th in the last event. We still have a little bit of rain coming down here at Del Diamond in Round Rock, Texas. Weather has been a factor all week.
Yep, when I was a football player, Sean, I used to say, it's football weather. But hey, man, it's just athlete weather out there. You got to be an athlete. You got to adapt to the surroundings. You might have to make some pivots and make some changes in how you approach something like the nuances of this dumbbell. But we're watching athletes like Travis Mayer right there make slight work of it, using a push press action, even transitioning directly overhead. We talked about that potentially being something that sets athletes apart. Will they have to break it up at 5, throw it down, and then make a switch? And we see here in round 1, many of the athletes already making fast work of the 10 reps and making it unbroken to start.
Garrett Clark is still working on his reps as Travis Mayer and Ricky Garrard are on to the Killer Cage. And this does not, again, need to be unbroken. If they fall off, they can jump right back up and continue right where they left off.
Yeah, we're going to see some different techniques come into play here when we talk about this Killer Cage. Are athletes going to go hand over hand and only one touch each of the rungs, or are they going to double grip it, which means they're going to gather their hands every time that they switch? And certainly the technicalities might change as fatigue continues to progress and build throughout the course of this event. But as of right now, we're watching Magda, we're watching Hopper, we're watching Mayer all go hand over hand, one touching each rung as they advance.
Travis Mayer was the first man to make the turn, but Tudor Magda has made up a ton of ground, and he's going to be the first man off the killer cage, followed by Jason Hopper and Noah Olson. And they will start round 2.
Sean, and one of the keys that we talked about before this event got going as well is that you can't overpace the erg. This being that you're going to spend so much time for 40 calories for these men. They're spending so much time within this event on the erg itself. If you overpace it, which means go too slow, it's actually a place that you can lose significant amount of ground to a bigger, more powerful, and also a touch more courageous athlete if they're willing to lean in to ride their threshold on the other 2 movements. So it's not that we're watching these athletes just casually pace this ski at all. You see them hinging at the hip violently, closing that shoulder angle by pulling the grips down towards their knees, and then rapidly re-extending their body to go down for the next rep.
Tudor Magda continues to lead here. Now in round 2 of 3, there are 156 total scored repetitions in this event, 52 per round. Jason Hopper making up ground on the ski erg now on Tudor Magda. Noah Olson sits in 3rd. Will Morad, Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson rounding out the top 5. Travis Mayer is only a calorie back of Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson. He's starting to creep up. Noah Olson making his 4th appearance here at the Rogue Invitational. His best finish was when he took 3rd in 2020.
Yeah, we're not new to seeing Noah do things a little differently than the field. Sometimes he attacks things a little bit more aggressively out the gate. Sometimes he has a little bit more technique differences. But what we're seeing here, just even on the ski, he's got a very fast stroke rate. He's probably pulling with a touch less power, but more repetitions in order to get the acquired calories. Other athletes like Victor Hoffer or even Jason Hopper are actually pulling with more power and fewer strokes.
Jason Hopper onto the dumbbell for the 2nd time.
Jason using a push jerk where he actually rebends his knees to press under that dumbbell. Clearly he's thought this through and he's going to break it up before he gets to that left arm.
Jason part of that HWPO crew, and strongman Rob Kearney, a coach there, so probably got a little input from Rob on this. And Hopper is done, and he'll head back to the killer cage for the 2nd time. And you mentioned this showing up in 2011. This is the same length as in 2011, 48 feet in total.
Yeah, again, which is nothing to just ignore. It's not something where athletes are like, that's not a big deal. You know, last year we watched athletes fly through the monkey bar setup that they had, but this is different. This is the killer cage, and it is something that they have to actually consider the volume and the amount of contractions that take place, specifically on the shoulder joint as they traverse all the way from one end to the other.
There is Will Morad, who right now is in 3rd place in this heat behind Noah Olson and Jason Hopper. Tudor Magda just got to the monkey bars.
Will Morad really making that look very effortless as he swings his way down. Hopper pausing a little.
Noah Olson has made the turn, and then he'll head back to the ski erg to start his 3rd and final round. First of 2 heats here for the men. 3rd of 9 events that they will face here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. Hopper's off at the same time as Noah Olson, the 2 of them jogging back to the ski erg. And Tudor Magda once again has made up a ton of ground and moved himself into 3rd place ahead of Will Morad, as Magda will be the next man onto the ski erg. Garrett Clark, I believe, is on round 2. Just saw him in the gray shirt. He's at the far end of the field from Jason Hopper. He's still on his 2nd round.
And this is where Hopper's got to trust his conditioning a bit. He knows that he is bigger and stronger physically than someone like Noah. So if he's got to be really careful to seize the opportunity to gain some separation here. Noah's going to have a faster cycle rate to that dumbbell if he has the opportunity to get there, set up, and execute. And he also executed the traverse a touch faster on the killer cage. So if Hopper's aware, he's going to try to burn it down just a little bit more here on this interval of the ski and set himself up for success.
Ricky Garrard is one of the men who came in tied at 165 points on top of the overall standings, and he is toward the back of the pack right now in this heat, just now getting to the ski erg for the 3rd and final time.
Sean, and he was someone that I mentioned before we even took the floor here with this particular event. There are 3 movements taking place that are all taxing the shoulder in some shape or fashion. And we know that Ricky's recovering from shoulder surgery this year. So this is a great place for him to literally test the capacity. What's his recovery look like? How does he handle the shoulder being taxed in many different functions when it comes to movement? We're pulling down with the ski, we're pressing overhead with the dumbbell, and then of course we're hanging, and not only hanging, but doing it one arm at a time as we transition from rung to rung on the killer cage. So I'm sure he's experiencing a little bit of some upper body fatigue as all these guys are dealing with quite the pump in this event.
154 is what they're trying to hit before they get back to the cage. So Hopper's got 10 reps remaining on this dumbbell, 5 on each arm. Noah Olsen is holding off Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson for second place, and Olsen is just about done with his ski.
Hopper was off at 8:22. He did exactly what he needed to do in regards to buying himself time. And now if he wants to win this heat, he's got to think ahead as well. Don't wait for Noah. Know that the other 10 guys that are in the stable are going to be eyeing your time and gunning for it.
Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson in the white shirt in the background now moving to the dumbbell with Noah Olsen as Hopper takes off for his third and final trip down and back on the killer cage. Tudor Magda is onto the dumbbell, and we'll keep an eye on him when he gets to the killer cage because he has been extremely fast on that apparatus, as now Noah Olsen's taken off to join Hopper.
And Noah made a vet move. He did not put the dumbbell down between arms on that one, which allowed him to pull away from Tudor and BKG just a touch.
Magda trying to lock out these final reps on that 100-pound dumbbell as Hopper has made the turn and working his way back, looking to set the time to beat with one heat remaining. Taking a quick break and hopping back up. Noah Olsen is set to work his way back down, and now Tudor Magda in lane 2 is heading down. Jason Hopper is done, and Jason Hopper is going to take heat 1 of the circus. Olsen got a no rep. He did not touch the final bar. He had to go back, and now he will sprint across the finish line. So Jason Hopper in at 10:03.10 seconds. Olsen's going to take second place in the heat. Magda has made the turn on his way back, trying to catch Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson, but Gudmundsson is not going to let that happen, so BKG gets in. A 15-minute time cap here, so plenty of time left as Gudmundsson is in at 10:31.89 seconds. Here comes Magda to lock up fourth place in the heat. Now Will Morad looking to be the next man to finish. Morad is off. He's going to be in a foot race with Bailey Martin in lane 5. Martin catching up, and that's going to be close as Martin hydroplanes his way across the finish. And it is going to be Bailey Martin by 3/100ths of a second, sliding into home, and it pays off for him as Travis Mayer is in. Here comes Victor Hoffer across the finish line as well. And now Ricky Garrard is still out there along with Garrett Clark. So Garrard, who came in tied for the overall lead, is going to surrender some points here in event 3, and he is in. That leaves Garrett Clark as the last man out on the field, and Clark is on the cage for the second time. And he has now 3 minutes to finish this workout. Noah Olsen, as he often does, is headed back out to the field to try to get Garrett Clark through this killer cage portion of the event.
Yep, Noah being Noah. Encouraging everybody left behind, trying to pull them along, get the fans involved. And Garrett almost experiencing a little bit of what it's like just to be new to this stage, right? A lot of these guys are veterans at newness. The adaptability that they've developed through the years of not knowing what something feels like, never touching an apparatus before, and then just winging it and still having great levels of success. It's a learned habit, it's a learned skill. One, not only to adapt to it, but two, to have confidence in yourself to be able to do that. It's certainly something that we're watching some of these young fellas go through out there on the field right now, and it's going to pay off down the road. This is a exponentially valuable learning experience for an athlete like Garrett Clark, even as we watch him struggle here and learn as he goes.
Clark, one of the men who qualified through the Q, making his first appearance here at the Rogue Invitational. Comes from a pretty athletic family, both of his parents and his sister collegiate athletes.
Yeah, and at this point, his grip is just shot. He's doing his best to even be able to link together multiple reps. We notice that he's doing the double touch to each rig, and that's just due to the time under tension there. He doesn't have confidence to go arm for arm and allow himself to go to the next rung.
Clark trying to just get back to the ski erg and as many calories as he possibly can before that 15-minute time cap hits. He's about 2/3 of the way there.
And here's the tough part. You know, I watch him do some of these reps, and I'm thinking, like, well, maybe if he just strips down from the grips that he's using, right? Allow his body to be actually against the killer cage itself and reduce the diameter of his grip. But also, I've watched several athletes already finish this event with some bloody hands. So even though it could be costing him time, and at this point, he's likely not going to be losing a terrible amount of points unless we see someone else struggle in the next heat, at least he's going to be finishing with all of his skin intact and ready to attack what's to come.
It does look like he has maybe torn that left hand a little bit. The final seconds for Garrett Clark. He's going to fight to the finish here. And that will do it for heat number 1. So Jason Hopper at 10:03.10 seconds is your heat winner. Hopper coming into this event in 15th place overall. Looking to pocket some valuable points as he heads into Saturday.
Yeah, and Hopper did a great job at seizing the moment. And what I mean by that is on the ski, we knew that it was a place where the athletes were going to spend a lot of time. He was able to create some distance between himself and a close competitor, Noah Olson, that was following right on his heels. He was smooth the entire 3 rounds with that shoulder overhead, choosing to utilize the push jerk. And even though he chose to drop that circus dumbbell each and every time to transition, it allowed him some reprieve to be smooth as he needed to be onto the killer cage and on through the finish. He seized the moment when he needed to, and it paid off. And then Noah was really close to nipping at his heels, and all of a sudden, attention to detail, attention to detail. It's that final rung. You had to make contact with it, touch it, and then you could sprint through the finish. And that